I said boo in my sleep the other day.
What?
Happy Halloween.
I think we just found out that you legally count as a ghost now.
I'm okay with this.
What if, what if when what if someone, if they like temporarily died in their sleep and came back, there's just a moment where they say boo because there's that split second where they are in fact a ghost?
It's funny because I said it multiple times, so what does that mean?
That means that you kept coming in and out.
I was dead and then I came back. And then
every time you said boo was another time you had accidentally quickly slipped into death in your sleep. And you're like, boo, I'm a ghost now. And then you're like, nope, I'm alive.
Oh my god.
What's the alive sound then is the question. Taxes? I don't know. Taxes.
I don't know, because when I'm asleep, I'm definitely not alive. I don't think.
Oh, jeez. No wonder you say boo in your sleep.
I know.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, welcome to Side-ology.
My name is TechReal.
And I'm Amy.
Actually, well, my name is Logan.
And I'm Wally.
Yes, for those who can't see, we are currently in costume for this special Halloween edition of Side-ology.
Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah. You want to explain your costume first? Because I feel like mine's going to take a little bit more explanation.
No, that's so fair. I am, for those on audio, I am dressed in brown overalls and a brown t-shirt with some handkerchiefs just placed in different places, both in the pocket of the front of the overalls and also around my neck. And I have some like really cool goggle things that match the style. So I'm a bit of a Wally impersonator today.
Yeah.
I like the robots, so.
Yeah, it's very fitting.
That'd be opportune.
Yeah, and I'm... Oh, what?
I was just going to say, you go ahead and...
I said I took a sip and I was like, was there more?
No.
No, I am an interesting costume. I am Steve and also Logan. So Steve is in Blue's Clues and Logan is in Sandersides, of course. The whole basis of my costume is Patton played a prank on Logan, wherein he replaced his shirt with a Steve shirt, because that's about as pranky as Patton can get. He also replaced his flashcards with the notebook and some different notebook pages with various things. This one says Skidoo, and this one, if I could open the notebook, Clue. These relevant things.
I love that with every fiber of my being.
I'm like, it's not the most creative idea I've ever had, but I am quite happy with it. I've made several pieces of content today to go out with this specific and the podcast. I have pictures going up on social media. I have TikToks coming out about it. So yeah, I am weirdly very happy with this Logan Steve situation. I remember when I first got the Steve shirt, this is one of the first things I did. I was like, wait, there's a collar on this. What if I just threw on the Logan tie-in glasses? Like, I think I have a picture somewhere of me, like, when I first got this shirt, being like, Logan Steve, that's funny. And here we are months later, I'm like, I did it.
That's the best thing ever. Go check out TechReal's page for all sorts of Steve Logan stuff, because I guess I'm gonna have to post the Wally stuff. But
if you want to see a Crofter's jar in the style of a living Blue's Clues character, go check out those pictures, because that's one of them.
Yeah,
that's my favorite one.
It looks very cute. I've seen it.
Thank you. I'm addicted to the series, so I know how to make their characters.
Yeah.
I'm tagging Crofters. Wish me luck. I think it'd be really funny if Crofters saw that and reacted.
You know, I think they'd love it. I think you should.
I think they will.
They're so sweet.
They're very reactive as a brand, I think. So I think I have a good chance.
The one time I called Crofters, I can't even remember exactly why I called them, but he was so sweet. I called them and I was like, how do you feel about all the fanders just freaking out about Crofters? And he was just like, it's the best thing I've ever seen. Like, he was just so wholesome about it. And I was like, oh my God, I love it. Why was I calling Crofters? Anyway.
You called them on the phone?
On the phone.
That makes perfect sense.
I guess so.
Epic Logan reference. Wow. Oh my God. Anyways, we've gotten this far, and we should probably talk about the subject of today's episode.
Probably.
Oh, wait, also, we have more exposition to get through. I just realized. I looked at the notes. I was like, no, we're not even close to ready.
You all put up with a lot of our ADHD tangents.
Truly.
And we appreciate it.
Also, one thing, we have a new look right now for Halloween. You can see this on both the audio and YouTube versions, because I'm changing the icon as well. The profile. Not the profile, the picture, the cover, whatever you want to call it.
That one thing.
The one thing. Yeah, we're changing that one thing. You can see it. If you're listening to this, wherever you are, you can see it. So yeah, I like the holiday variants of things. So I was like, I had to do it. There's even spider webs, despite my horrible arachnophobia. So we love it, because spider webs do scream Halloween, if nothing else. Also, we should make reference to the fact that this is in fact a bonus episode. So lately we've been doing the format has been, 3 episodes, a Q&A, and then a week break. So this episode does not count as one of the 3 episodes, because we've already done 2 we've done 1 up until now. We did the Virgil. I'm unorganized. I
love that. We did what? We did what?
We did Virgil. Huh? We still have Janice and Remus coming for our side studies, but this is also in addition to that. So we're going to have all these 4, then the Q&A, then the break.
Yep.
So, yeah. Yeah. Brain is lost.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Mine is...
It's okay.
Because, I mean, we're both very tired. I know I work at Halloween Horror Nights right now, so we're late night hours every day.
Oh, yeah. And I'm, like, just getting a cold, so...
Yeah.
I love that. I woke up with this...
You should put a jacket on there, kiddo.
Huh?
You said you're just getting cold.
And what'd you say? I didn't hear it.
I said you should put a jacket on there, kiddo.
No, it's unseasonably warm here. This Steve shirt's gonna do me in.
Oh, I know. I was just saying the way you said it sounded like you were just getting cold.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I know. I was adding on to it with that Logan dryness. Ketchup. Mustard. Oh. Sorry. Every time I say ketchup, I hear ketchup, and I have to add on mustard.
This is fabulous.
Oh my God.
All right. So we're introducing the subject of today. What are we talking about, Tech Girl?
We are talking about cosplaying. Very fitting. We have the cosplay going on. Whoa, oh my God, it's almost like I planned this. We're talking about cosplay and basically the psychology behind cosplaying as our comfort characters. Because I know something I've noticed, I think, in the ScienceDirect fandom, more so than most fandoms. Like, obviously, this is a thing in a lot of fandoms, but I remember one of the first things I noticed was how many people cosplay as the sides. Yeah. Like, it's such a culture here, like, more so than most other fandoms, I think. And maybe that's, like, an overstatement. Honestly, it could just be because I watch ScienceDirect, I see it a lot more. But I don't think I saw nearly as much cosplay as ScienceDirect cosplay in my life. Other than, like, Spider-Man and Rick and Morty, like, that type of, like, the big things at, like, Comic-Cons.
Yeah, but, like, I think this one, ScienceDirect is much easier to do because I think all of Thomas's costumes are more or less, or they started as closet.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, so, like, they're really easy to put together.
Yeah, with the exception of, like, I think, like, Roman, Remus, and Janice, who have a bit more extensive outfits. Yeah. But, like, you know...
but even Roman was a closet cosplay because he got that from a show.
Mm-hmm.
Then he was in Into the Woods.
Oh, wow, really? Is that where
he was in Into the Woods playing Prince Charming. That outfit is genuinely his costume.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that adds like a whole layer to like Roman. Because it like comes from a show. That's everything. Oh.
But like then he updated it to make it a little more Roman instead of that, yeah.
But yeah, so ScienceDirect people, they really do like to cosplay. Like, that's such a big culture here. So, excuse me. Oh my God, I'm burping up a storm. I'm so sick.
Bless you.
Thank you. I sneezed.
Hey, you're so welcome. Yeah.
Every time you say bless you to anything, my brain is like, I didn't sneeze.
The phrase bless you was literally, like, the fact that it was said to people because they thought sneezing was like, it was leading towards... like ultimate sickness or something. That phrase bless you is like I hope you get through this or whatever. But like now that it's irrelevant and people are so pressed to keep saying bless you, I say bless you to anything because I want to show how dumb the phrase is now.
So I like now every time you say bless you to me when I like burp or something, I'm going to be like thinking that you're thinking I'm not going to make it through that burp.
Yes.
That burp is a sign of my ultimate doom.
Yeah.
And I'm going to collapse and then you're going to hear me go boo and you're going to be like, oh, he's a ghost now.
He's a ghost!
Tied it back. Whoa. That's the best type of joke where it like starts at the top and you can bring in a background later. That's my favorite. That's why I like stand-up comedy so much. It's like the bringing around a joke from the beginning, like later on. Oh. We're so distracted today.
Comedy.
Huh?
Comedy. So, okay, we're talking about with how the Sanders Sides people cosplay a lot. We're going to talk about the psychology behind cosplaying the characters and what we've gotten out of being cosplayers ourselves.
Oh, yeah. Because, like, I feel like a lot of people could see it and just be like, oh, you're just dressing up. That's all it is. And it's like, no, there can be some deeper meanings to it. Because, like, there is a lot of comfort I think people find in cosplaying. You know, it does a lot more, I think, than just, like, playing pretend for a bit. So, would you like to introduce potential factor one in the idea of why is comforts of cosplaying? Yes. Why is cosplaying so comforting?
So a potential option is the fact that you heavily relate to a character, or you kin the character per se. So kinning by definition is like strongly identifying with a character from some kind of fiction or media or just anywhere, and seeing a lot of yourself through that character. So it's basically, if you see yourself in that character, embodying that character in some way makes you feel very seen and understood in a way that you probably wouldn't get elsewhere.
Yeah, I remember this was a term I did not know for the longest time. Like, I remember people were starting to use it around me, and I was like, what the hell? I saw people using it online, and I was like, what is kinning? Is that, like, standing? I was like, I'm so behind on my, like, media terms a lot of the time that I'm like, what is... Yeah. There's just these short little words that mean nothing to me, and I'm like, what is... These words already mean other things, and like, what does this mean now?
Yeah, and I know there are different meanings of the word kinning. That like the Tumblr kinning is different than the Twitter kinning or whatever. That's a whole different.
I want to know.
I don't actually know. I don't think I've heard about it recently enough to be able to speak on it myself. But that's the definition we're using right now. Just the fact that you heavily relate to a character, so you understand what they're going through.
I'm very intrigued to see what else it means. But yeah, I should clarify that in the notes, as you read that, just in case you thought that came from a source, that was me writing that. I tried to find, like, a source of, like, a specific definition. Everywhere I looked got, like, different results. Like, it all, like, boiled down to the same idea, but nothing was, like, super official or concrete enough. So I was just like, I'm going to write down what I know it is from my understanding based on what I've seen from the internet.
Right.
But yeah, I think kinning a character can play a lot into cosplaying, because the whole thing about kinning is that it makes you like feel very like seen and understood by a character. So getting to embody that character can be very validating, and also can act as sort of like a learning experience for those around you and for like those out there, because you connect with this character and then you can connect yourself to that character through the cosplay, through content, and it just sort of helps people to get like a little idea of like who you are, or just like, I know something I'll talk about a little bit after is I know sometimes it can also just be easier to cosplay characters that you can, and I think that's just the simple idea, is just the idea that like the characters you can relate to are the ones that you're better at acting as, which is why I'm more prone to act as like Logan, like versus like Virgil, because I think I'm better as Logan.
Matches your personality.
Yeah. But yeah.
So what's factor 2, TechReal?
Well, factor 2 of cosplaying comfort, I think, can come from escaping from reality. I think cosplaying, embodying someone else for a while, could be used and is used in a lot of cases as a form of escape. You know? You know that? Yeah. You know escaping.
Yeah. You know? It's very patent, like, you know?
You know? It's good. You know? Sorry, I'm turning into Dracula because it ended with Blair. It goes Blair. Halloween. Ooh. What is this? Isn't Dracula. This motion I'm doing right now is not Dracula. This is more like Wolfman, werewolfy.
Dracula Wolfman.
Wolfman. Anyways, cosplaying and embodying someone else for a while could be used as a form of escapism or dissociating. Just taking a break from being yourself for a while, which mood. Just, you know, sometimes life is gross, life is weird, life is strange. That's a game. Anyways, I'm really turning into Patton. Like, that's a very Patton delivery.
That's a game.
That's a game. Wow. Fruit. Anyways. I'm losing it. My sickness is taking me.
Although everybody listening understood that, I hope.
I'd like to hope. Sometimes I hear myself speaking, and I'm like, man, these poor listeners, they have to deal with my ADHD.
Yeah, no.
If they're listening up till episode 10, then they've gotten used to my bullcrap.
You all are the real ones. You all listening right now are the real ones.
Truly.
We love you. We appreciate you.
You deal with so many of our tangents and mouth mess-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly. But so taking a break from being yourself for a while is nice. Yeah. Because sometimes you feel gross. Sometimes you just want to pretend to be someone else for a while. It's just a nice little way to cope with life.
And I think as we can get into, naturally the brain wants to pull away from reality occasionally. So imagination is a good way to do that. And also in the abnormal sense, there are disorders with dissociation and with I mean, I was going to say dissociation, and something past dissociation, but there wasn't really anything. But like we've talked about maladaptive daydreaming on here. We've talked about, we can get into dissociative fugue, which is like, you were talking about dissociative fugue. I don't know necessarily what that is. I learned about that
on Doctor Who.
You learned about that before I did.
Look at me. I'm the studious one today. Ooh, I'm the studious one.
This is next episode. He helped make this one.
Oh my god, I designed the overlay and new icon. I put together the idea. I wrote the notes. I did the research. I'm a one-man show.
I just need to leave.
Get out of here. You're canceled. Anyway. Not the podcast is canceled. This time you're just canceled.
Well, I'm going to cancel the podcast because you're actually canceling me. So.
Oh, dang. I guess you do have 50% stake. You do have that power. Dang. 50% steak as opposed to 50% pork. Anyway. I'm sorry. That was really dumb. But my brain was just like, make the pun. Do it. Anyways, Dissociative Fugue. Dissociative Fugue. If I can compose myself. Dissociative Fugue is a rare mental case. Basically, the brain running away for a while when it experiences trauma, and usually can lead to something like amnesia, but sometimes also accompanied by that sort of gap in who you are usually being filled with somebody else. So sometimes it could be like literally embodying someone else for a while, just mentally, because your brain is like, I don't want to be this guy anymore. I want to be someone else, because this guy, his life sucks right now. Their life sucks right now. I need to be someone else who either I relate to, or either like maybe it's just like a whole different person. I don't know. I'm not qualified to talk about this. I only know it from Doctor Who. A guy became the doctor for a bit, haha. But anyways.
It's fascinating because the brain will actually create other individuals.
Yeah, like the idea.
With the current reality of the situation in the reality of a traumatic experience in that way. So that is like the abnormal piece of it. But like in the non-abnormal piece of it, the fact is like the brain is consistently looking for ways to escape and ways to process the world around it in a way that's easier to swallow. Yeah. So cosplay is a really good substitute if you need a way to escape.
Honestly.
Or just acting and playing a different character in general.
Yeah, it's really like an extension of like people just getting lost in just like consuming media already, but then it's that like second step further, which is like embodying the media, like really becoming that character for a while, and it's just like a healthier way of just getting to cope for a while and just being like, I'm gonna step aside from being like Techro right now. If I want to not be Techro for a while, I'm gonna go film some Logan stuff because I like being Logan, and I sometimes like Logan a bit more than Techro, so it's how it goes. This is fair. No, this is the part where you say Techro's pretty cool and Logan.
Techro is pretty cool, but it's also fair that you can step away from Techro for a bit. I know from Amy all the time.
I like try to anticipate when my like self-deprecation is going to elicit like some sort of reaction. So I was expecting you to be like, no, Techro's pretty cool, and then you said fair, and I was like, fair? I just
You know,
said
I'm
holy
glad to know.
Trinity.
Here's the deal. I'm glad to know there was a part of you that stood up for you in that moment when I didn't. So that makes me feel good.
You still win either way.
Yeah, I do win.
Dang it. All you do
Fuck
is
you.
win. Win, win, no matter what. That's a
But
song.
I got money on my mind and I just can't get enough.
Something, everybody's hands go up. I don't know the song
There's a
that well.
moment, isn't there now?
That's our lead-in? Okay, welcome to the moment. Let's go to that moment.
Okay, I will admit, the flute thing didn't really work out. What about the piano? Piano,
You do
I could
realize
play the
we're filming
piano.
it
I
right
could play
now,
the piano
right?
for the... What are you doing here? What are you doing here? No. No, it is not. No, it's not Roman time yet. No. The other sides. Go look at them. Or go back to Amy and Tech. Look, Amy. Oh, Amy and Tech. Oh, go over there. Over there. See, this is backstage. You're supposed to be watching on the stage. I am not ready yet. I'm not camera ready yet. Why are you doing this? Don't look away.
God.
Nice breath.
Thank you.
Me too.
I made it myself.
Anyway.
There's a reason why patent is my thing.
Yeah. And that was...
Oh, what? Jeez. What? I'm scared. How fitting.
Sorry, it was a really, really good lead-in. And
I'm almost tempted to just keep going and keep it.
we can.
It was a moment. Anyways, today we learned that the scariest thing for Halloween is not being prepared. Because, oh my god, Roman.
Just like I didn't prepare you for that lean-in.
Whoa! Full circle, baby! Oh my god. Man, no wonder I'm terrified.
No, Virgil was last week.
Oh. But the purple is this week.
Oh my god.
Whoa!
Virgil.
We
I'm
did
okay
it.
with this.
Virgil's here in spirit. Even though he wasn't in the moment, he's here in spirit.
Listen, I'm Virgil, so like...
No,
I get
you're
it.
Wally.
Fuck! Anyway.
Oh my god. So, now that we've talked a little bit about... What?
We're just giggling bitches.
What?
We're just giggling bitches over here.
This is not news for me.
This is not news. Anyway, okay.
So let's
So,
talk about a
go
bit
ahead.
of our experiences with cosplay and embodying other people, and the mental ramifications as to why. Now that we've gone through some of the reasoning that we've gone through, sorry, the motion I was making, I know people can't see it, I'm just like very wispy all of a sudden. Very Roman.
We are ghosts.
Boo! Ah! Anyways,
Ah!
this is one of those chaos episodes I love.
Love it.
This is one of those
Love
moments
that.
where I'm like, man, I forgot I feel like crap right now from the sickness, and I'm actually just having fun. Now I'm
Good.
thinking about the sickness,
That's
not
what
feeling
this
crap
is.
again.
It's an escape.
Whoa!
Cheers.
And we're cosplaying! We did it. We did it, fam.
We're the best.
Damn.
Alright.
Lit AF. Sorry, I started
What is
saying
your-
terms.
Tech Wheel.
I'm sorry?
What is your experience with cosplay and embodying characters?
Well, cosplaying is something I only had recently got into in the past, like, couple of years. It's something I always was, like, curious about, and I don't know. It's something that I can't really even tell you why I specifically got into it. I just know it started either with Sanderside's closet cosplay, or it started when I went to Comic-Con for the first time. And I mean, I think both times I was like cosplaying as characters that at the time I was like, this is me. Cause like, I'm thinking like, one of my first Sanderside's cosplays was either going to be like Patton, or I think it would have been Patton. And then I think he might have been my first Sanderside's cosplay. And the other one was Dipper Pines from Gravity Falls, which was
Aw.
awkward little nerd doofus, which, if that doesn't describe this tech reel, I don't know what will. But, no, cosplay over the years is one of those things that, like, it is interesting how comforting it became. Like, it's not something I think about too often, but it's definitely one of those things that, like, there were times in the past, like, year or so where I was like, man, I really love cosplaying as Logan and getting to be Logan for a bit. And there were moments where I was like, I kind of just want to, like, wear Logan stuff for a while. And I never really did. I really tried to restrict it to just when I cosplayed, because I felt like any other time was, like, a weird usage of the cosplay components. But, like, and also at the time, my cosplay for Logan was painful. It was actually legitimately painful. Did you want to hear a fun little thing? I don't know if I've talked about this on TikTok any, but, like, my cosplay for Logan for the longest time, like, when I started TikTok, I didn't have, like, a black collar shirt. And like, any other color shirt I had didn't match, like, a Logan color scheme. So I used a black shirt that I had, like a black shirt, and I wore it, first of all, I wore it backwards, which already was uncomfortable. But then also, I was wearing a tie that I had at the time, but, like, because it was a shirt, and it was a pretty worn out shirt at that, there was you could see skin between where the tie was and where the shirt was, and I wanted to reduce that. So what I started doing was I used bobby pins to, like, pin it in place, but then, like, as I was filming, it would be, like, stabbing me in, like, the shoulder. Because I'd be like, just work through it. I just want to look like Logan for a bit. So if you see any early Logan videos with me with a non-color shirt and an awkwardly placed tie that doesn't look quite good, just imagine TechReal being in excruciating shoulder pain as he is filming.
TechReal, that is, if that's not the most cosplay dedication story I've ever heard in my life. Listen, when I started cosplay, which I'll get into my story a little bit in a bit, but, like, when I started cosplay, I was always on my knees.
Oh no.
For, like, hours, I was on my knees doing these takes. Like, you'll see me kind of, like, shimmy in the first few videos I did because of that. Like, listen, people do cosplay, especially, like, video TikTok cosplay. The first ones are always...
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you just need to commit to the bit, because, like, I know a recent one I made, you have a tattoo that says that.
I have a tattoo that says that? Anyway,
but,
don't mind me.
No, like, I like, committing to the bit is really the thing. It's why, like, when I've made ScienceDirect content, I've, like, ducked out and, like, hurt my legs for days.
Oh my god. Can we talk about the squatting that ScienceDirect cosplayers have to do? Can we talk about... Listen, you're not a ScienceDirect cosplayer until your thighs are screaming. You're not a ScienceDirect.
I think I don't remember when it was, but it was some ScienceDirect content I made, and I remember I ducked out and I had to do a bunch of takes of it. I don't know. I don't think it was my original ScienceDirect, like, video that I made during the meetup. I know whenever it was, I was doing therapy. I know that's the only context I have as to when that was, but I've been doing that for a while too. But I just know that I made some sort of ScienceDirect content where I was, like, ducking out a bunch. And I did it so many times that for, like, days, my legs just screamed at me. And I have to, like, walk, like, 2 blocks to therapy after walking to a bus. So I was just, like, walking up, I was like, and I just get in and it'd be like, man, my legs hurt. I made a video.
Listen, I have a lot of respect for ScienceDirect cosplayers who don't have screaming thighs. But, like, at some point in their time doing cosplay, like, I have so much respect for you. How did you do it?
I'm just not in the shape for that to be the case.
Yeah, oh my god. I've talked to so many ScienceDirect cosplayers, and every time we mention how much squatting we have to do, we're always like, oh my god,
fuck! I made a freaking Blue's Clues video on TikTok just recently where I just had to kneel down on one knee. And my stupid brain was like, what if in this video I keep switching sides of the camera? Meaning I had to, like, kneel down, get up, go to the other side, kneel down. And I think the first take I wanted to kneel down into the shot. So, like, I really did not do myself any favors. My point is, cosplaying is dedication sometimes.
Dedication?
But, no, there is just a real... Sorry, I heard a big old beep outside. I don't know if anyone heard that. I just heard all... But anyways, sorry, ADHD. But anyways, no, they're just, I don't have a lot to say on it other than just cosplaying definitely is something that I have seen as a comfort. I don't know if that's the reason I do it. I think a big reason is just because I enjoy doing it in cosplay, and for content rather. I think the comfort is sort of, like, the comfort that it brings is more or less secondary. But it is one of those things that, like, even just seeing myself in, like, the Steve shirt that I'm wearing right now, it's just one of those that I'm just like, yeah, I'm Steve. I get to be like this for a while, and, like, I can just pretend to be a Blue's Clues host, and that's fun.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between what we do versus some people who cosplay, because like we have taken cosplay and made it an art form that's like video editing as well.
Yeah.
Or we started to do that as well, and that's not necessarily what cosplay is.
Yeah.
But it can be a piece of it that a lot of people utilize, because TikTok is a really good route for that.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between, like, content cosplaying and, like, convention cosplaying.
Yeah, and I think, again, I'll get into my story in a bit, but, like, I know for me, sometimes I would get into cosplay just so I could, I get into Logan cosplay so I could enhance my logical thinking and reasoning, and just like trying to get something done, like a motivation kind of thing. I wouldn't film that. I wouldn't do anything else with that. I would just get into Logan cosplay. Does that actually help? To an extent, sometimes it does, because it's like, oh, I'm having this character help me out.
Yeah. See, I've thought about doing that type of thing a bunch, and I never actually commit to it.
It's honestly fun. I recommend it.
It seems it. I think part of it is the, like, I don't know, like, part of it is that, to me, and I definitely want to make sure I'm specifying, I'm not saying that this is what I think of people doing it, this is what I think of me doing it. It feels silly to do in the moment for me, and I think also, like, in a house with people, I don't want to explain every time I'm in, like, a collar shirt and a tie and glasses when I don't wear that typically, so that's also another factor.
That's fair.
And also I think my brain just reasons it as, like, well, like, what is going to be I think my brain is going oddly Logan about it for the idea of going into Logan. It's like, what is really the difference going to be if you put on a shirt and, like, put on a collar shirt and a tie? Like, what is really going to be the change in that versus the shirt you're currently wearing?
Right.
So, like, and I think it's very valid to do that, and I think it's something I might try eventually, but it's definitely the thing that I've had trouble getting myself to commit to, because motivation do be funky.
I get it.
But yeah, so what is your connection to cosplaying? I'm intrigued, because you prefaced this before we even started recording. You prefaced by saying that yours is very vastly different. Yours is very vastly different from my reasoning, as well as the reasoning that we have detailed so far on the podcast.
I mean, to an extent. Like, I think a lot of people, through my time being a cosplayer, my story has been slightly different when I do tell other people, because I know a lot of people who are like I want to call out some people here, but I know, like, Nat is a science major, and I know there are other people who, like, don't do acting in their normal day to day. So these, like, intensely these people who, like, I've gotten the chance to talk to outside of the cosplay I do, that do ScienceDirect content, aren't always actors.
Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, I'm an actor. So, like, I started acting, like, when I was 7, you know, like, doing little bits of acting and things, and then coming up through that lens and knowing I wanted to do that more. My thing, the reason I got into ScienceDirect cosplay in general, or just cosplay in general, was because I needed someone to talk to about ScienceDirect. Like, there was some kind of force within me that had to talk about ScienceDirect somehow, because no one in my life cared or knew about it. And if I tried to talk about it, they were just like, eh. And I'm like, okay, God damn it. And I had to find other routes. So once I saw people cosplaying these characters, I was like, you get to play the characters? Oh, well, I'm an actor and I'd love to play these characters, so I'm going to find a way to do that.
Yeah.
And so I got into it for the acting piece of it. And I think a lot of people get into it for that escape or for that kinning behavior. And I'm over here like, I want to act. And I like the standard sides. So I'll do that. And that's honestly what it was for a long time. And why I was so pressed to, because I started with Patton and Roman. I think my first my first cosplay ever, I think, was Roman. And then I got into Patton, but those were the only two I had. So I really wanted Virgil and Logan because Virgil and Logan are my two favorites.
Sure.
Hello? So anyway,
Hello.
There's a video like way back on my TikTok account where like I'm just screaming about not having the two. I like walk down the hallway or anything, whatever. But either way, I digress. But it became, acting in general has always been really interesting to me because I've found that the responses of different characters, like different characters will get different responses. It's more of a psychology mindset for me, in the fact that like I really enjoy seeing how people's reactions change to the different characters I play. Or like just being able to see the world through different eyes. I always really enjoyed that. So that's really why I started to cosplay. It was never about the costume. It was never about the escaping. It was more about like, it's just interesting to see the world through another person's eyes that way.
Perspective.
So I was kind of, I've always kind of felt like an oddball in cosplay because there were always so many people who had like a lot of cosplayers, like I could call out another one, Cross. I absolutely love Cross, by the way. Stopitanxiety. Oh.
Hi, Cross.
Also, Nat's is like, I forget Nat's ad.
Oh.
If y'all are listening, you know ad. You know Nat.
You know Nat.
Nat is like awesome. Anyway, I'll find it and put it in the description because we need to.
Yeah.
But Cross would be doing multiple different cosplays. When I found them, they were doing multiple different cosplays from different shows and things, and they always had something else they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they were always reaching further and further, and I didn't have that. I was like, I'm content with the Sander sides. I don't really need to go find and buy all these really intense cosplay pieces. And I remember Cross is just always like, having gotten to know Cross now, I know that Cross is just consistently wanting to find those different cosplays and try the new things, whereas I'm over here like, eh.
Yeah, it's interesting too because I've known they will get attached to a character and then suddenly be like, I need to cosplay them. Which is something I know I haven't related to much. Like usually,
and a lot of but then like a lot of those people will move on and find a different character that they want to embody, or find like that kind of sparkle of that character will fade and move on. I never had that. Sander Sides was always that front-lining sunshine. So with that there was that, and then there was also the fact that like there's kind of a different acting style that happens with TikTokers that I never related to. Like sometimes TikTok acting can be like over exaggerated and a lot of like hand movements and like bouncing and just like more about showing off the costume and making like picturesque movements rather than actual acting.
Almost like animated.
And I never did that either because I wanted the acting piece. So I say all that. Everybody's version of cosplaying is different, but I basically used cosplaying as a tool to guide my acting. And that's honestly why I haven't been cosplaying recently, for those who have been following me for a long time, because it got to a point where I got really frustrated looking for those audios and looking for different ways to portray the character, because I was like, this isn't my content. Which, I mean, to an extent, if you're using that content in a new way, it's a different kind of, I mean, technically it is your content now, but like,
more or less.
It was getting frustrating that I had to keep finding other people's content to use for my own benefit. And then, so that's when I started doing the live streams, because I really love improv as well. So then I really embodied the characters. And then that got old because then I was like, well, I don't really have much else to say anymore. People are asking the same questions and I'm not really doing anything different. When I started to make original stories, and that's when Mind Your Glitch happened, that's when Steve happened, and then that's where I'm starting to do my own stuff. So, with all that being said, that's a big long spiel, but it's just interesting to see how different people are when they approach cosplay content, because cosplay was always just kind of a stepping stone for me. It wasn't necessarily, I never really wanted to go find these elaborate costumes. That was never the interest.
Because some people are in it really for the craft of it, as opposed to the end result.
Yeah, and I mean, some people are costuming more than I do.
Yeah, some people are really crafty with it, and it's like, I wish, there's a part of me that wishes I could be those people, but like, funds, money that's a thing. Yeah. Like, there are some characters I would cosplay now if I had the money to get the tools, and definitely want to eventually. Yeah,
and I mean, I also want to verbalize in this that, like, I mean, not that you said anything, but just the idea that, like, closet cosplays are just as valid as the 100% valid. That don't cost money. And if anyone tells you different, they're wrong.
Oh, literally, yeah.
My Remus is still a closet cosplay, and I'm never changing it.
Yeah, I know. Closet cosplay is one of those things that, like, in the same way that, in the same sort of message as, like, you don't need expensive equipment to start making content, you don't need expensive materials to start cosplaying. Like, start small.
And the thing is, it really depends on why you're coming to it. If, like, I know I come to it for the acting piece, and now that I've done it enough that, like, the audios don't really satisfy it anymore, I like doing the improvisation piece of it. And I don't know, it's just always so interesting. I think that's been my pull to cosplay and characters recently, is just the idea that people's reactions will change based on who you're playing. Like, I was thinking about this driving home from work the other day, and one of, not to shamelessly call out my character, but just when I'm playing Steve, it's really interesting to watch my friends change their entire behavior towards me.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, that's a little different because Steve is a robot, but he's also very, like, professional. And, like, you can tell when you and I are talking, we're very, like, silly and happy-go-lucky. But when, like, you're talking to Steve, it's immediately more like, yeah, no, sure, of course.
When I'm talking to Steve, I definitely, there's two things in my mind when I talk to Steve, generally. One is that I need to make sure that he can clearly understand me. And two is, this poor little baby boy needs to be protected.
Listen,
those are my two thoughts.
That's fascinating.
Because Steve is my little buddy, bro, and I love him.
Oh my god, even when I'm playing Sanderside's characters, it's just fascinating to watch people change their whole behavior.
Oh, literally, like, can we talk about the story of when I was over there hanging out with you, and then we were at the flea market? You remember that? That's
Which
my
one?
favorite story with Steve. Is the
just in general?
It's what was it? Because Steve has a thing about him that, like, when he is around, when he hears music, it can glitch him out.
Whoa. Okay, yeah.
You know where I'm going with this.
For context, for those that are, I love how we kind of were talking about cosplay and now we're just talking about improv, because I love improv and that's why I do cosplay. But oh man, I just had a whole nother conversation topic come in my head. I'm trying to, like, fend that off. Basically, Steve, for those that don't know, I know I've talked about him on here before, but just to clarify again, Steve is my original character. He is my assistant android. He's a, let's see, he's the manager for my TikTok and YouTube, and he also, like, assists me in day-to-day tasks and stuff like that. And he's basically what you'd imagine as a personal assistant android. But, like, not about to kill you. This man will not kill you. But he's also glitchy. That's the other thing.
Yeah, he's got, like, thing.
He's quirky. He's got some damage, and so, but not like physical damage. Anyway, he's physically alright. But anyway, so he. I've been trying to do more with putting him into content, but that takes a lot of work sometimes. So my friends around me are well acquainted with Steve, and sometimes if we're just wanting to do some kind of activity, we'll go and I'll just improvise as Steve. I'll go out and be Steve for something, and we'll go do something. So in this instance, TechReal and I were actually in the same space. We live very far away from each other, but we were in the same space. And TechReal was like, I want to spend a day with Steve. And I was like, are you kidding? You want to do that? Are you kidding? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And I got really excited because like, it was for one, it's just you supporting my character. And two, it was a way for me to improvise and, escape for a bit with that escaping thing. And also like,
tying around.
Yeah. And then recognizing that I get to just see the world in a different way today.
Yeah.
So we just went to one of the bigger flea markets in my hometown, it's a massive flea market. It's so big. It's so big. It's such a big flea market.
So many things.
It's so good. But we just went to the flea market. And so there was a really sweet thing that happened that you can go ahead and tell if you want to.
It's just one of those things that was like, this is me really believing a character existing and just having a moment of knowing him well enough. Because Steve gets real glitchy around music. It overstimulates him, I guess would be the term.
Yeah.
So we were somewhere in the flea market looking at stuff. There was like clothes around, and I was looking at stuff. And suddenly I noticed, Steve, glitching off in the corner. And I just sort of I saw him being twitchy, and I was like, Steve, are you okay? And I just had this moment of cognizance. I was like, the music. Oh. I was like, oh my gosh, Steve, I'm so sorry. Do you wanna leave? And Steve was, I think Steve had said I don't know, it's okay, whatever you want to do. And I was like, no, Steve, we're getting you out of here. Your comfort means more to me than looking at these clothes. So,
which I think is funny because it's a robot. So I don't.
And also
really
because
but
because he's a human, because he's you. Whoa!
Oh.
Wow!
Yeah.
No, but I just really love that story because I was just I felt so proud of myself noticing the thing that bothered Steve. It was just one of those things I was like, wow, yeah, I could be Steve's friend in real life because I noticed these things and I care for him.
And it's just imaginative and fun. That's the coolest shit in the world to me. And that one, it was funny because I remember walking into that space and thinking I could make a really big scene or something. I'm not going to because the music was loud, but it wasn't blaring.
Yeah, no.
And I wasn't even gonna call attention to it. I didn't even think you were gonna say anything. I was just gonna glitch a little, which for context, glitching for me is just my head twitches and some eye kind of just robotic movement on my face and stuff. But so I did it a little bit, and I really didn't expect you to come over. But when you started to do that, I was like, "Oh, this is the purest thing in the world! Oh my God!"
So happy.
Going, ah!
I think at that point, that detail about him might have been fairly new. So I think that's why it was fresh in my mind, especially. Wait, was it not?
Mm-mm. The music piece had been a thing since I was live streaming.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, me and Steve are just besties, so I just know these things about my boy, my brobot.
You know a lot about Steve. You've helped me write a lot about Steve stuff.
Oh so. Yeah, I'm definitely I think I'm other than you, I'm the Steve translator.
You're one of them.
There was definitely the other time where we were hanging out with what was it? Hanging out with Jessie doing Steve stuff. And Jessie tried to ask a question to Steve.
Oh, yeah.
And I heard it and I was like, there's no way Steve can answer this because it's a preference question and he doesn't do good with preference questions. So I was like, wait a minute. I can do that. I can phrase this in a way that Steve can comprehend and answer. And I was very proud.
And it's just fun bringing that character to life because it's just imagination and it's what if this robot were real? And I love it.
Oh yeah, no, I have more stock in Steve than I do in anybody in Disneyland. I've never been to Disneyland, but he is my I've never had the strong pull to be I want to go see Rapunzel's especially. I do, but it's never been I need to go to Disneyland because I want to meet all these princesses. No, but I do want to meet Steve. I was I want to be in the same room with Steve and hang out with him and ask him questions and just vibe with him for a while. So.
That makes me really happy.
I like how this turned into the Steve episode, by the way. I have no issue with it at all. I just thought it was funny. But it still connects to our core concept.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, but to wrap my section up, I think it's just the idea that I've always wanted to be a transformative actor also, so being able to really disappear into any kind of character more or less. Yeah. I have weak spots still, and I want to work on those, but I really like being able to play all these different types of characters. So it's not necessarily that's a difference between you and me. You say you want to be in the characters that you can. And sure, when I cosplay, sometimes I'll just get into Virgil because like I want to be in Virgil's outfit and Virgil makes me comfortable and I feel good. But at the same time, acting is my art form. So I love trying to like find those different routes to make it more challenging. Yeah. And I think the fact that I've made a robot character makes it really challenging because like that reality doesn't fully exist yet. Like it does to an extent, but it's not the same. So like,
true. I'd argue though that like, he is a kin thing, because in the sense that like, even though he's an original character, you had a love of AI for a long time, and you always talk about how like similarities to Steve and like how you feel those ways. So I wouldn't count that as like a not kin thing, to be fair. Even though you didn't kin him until after he existed. But he came from things that are relatable to you.
There's a lot of things that Steve has that I also have.
Yeah.
It's a self-insert character. But
which is totally
yeah, I'm very happy I'm just happy being in other people's shoes, and I don't know, it's always been something I've found extremely interesting. So cosplay was just my route to that, which is why I think it's so different than yours.
That's fair, because again, I will only go with it. I don't think I've ever desired to or actually have cosplayed a character that I don't relate to in some way. I think the only example of that ever having been a thing was when I did like an old ScienceDirect video, and because I wanted to have all four of the sides, I did do like a very rough Roman cosplay. And then I learned from that experience, and I was like, never again. Never again.
I always wonder then, because like, I guess the beauty of cosplay is that so many people come at it from such different angles. I come at it from the lens of wanting to act. You come at it from the lens of wanting to kin and escape.
Like an extension of myself.
People like Cross come into it, from what I'm understanding, because of the passion for the shows and the passion for the costuming. And I know another friend of mine, Emblem Cosplays, or Emily, or I think they're just M. But M comes at it from the lens of, I'm pretty sure, from acting and also from costume design and makeup design and things like that, because they have really intricate cosplays. So I find it extremely interesting to just, now that I'm thinking about it, just how different all of us are.
Oh yeah, there's a very, like, again, like we talked about before, there's a lot of different ways of, and then reasons to find comfort in this, or like to have that drive to do it. I know another one, like, which I think we talked about a little bit with kinning, was just wanting to feel more understood and wanting to get out there. I know you mentioned definitely, like, you're saying that you saw people doing this, and it was like, I could do this too. It's definitely, like, a same thing as what I dealt with when I went into it. It's, like, TikTok and Comic-Con were the reasons why I specifically was like, I want to get into cosplay, because everyone's doing it. And I know there are definitely times where I've used cosplay as like a way to try to get into certain circles, like in one way it's a kin thing, but definitely like several of the people that I have like attempted to or successfully have become friends with in recent time are people that like at some point when I saw their content I was like, I want to cosplay, you know, and or like duet them on TikTok and cosplay, so that like one, they can like see me, but two, they'll get like a read of the type of person I am, because this is the character I play and this is how I play them. It's like, whoa. So
me with every ScienceDirect individual I've ever talked to.
Literally,
most of my friends that are ScienceDirect people I met through the internet, because we both did cosplay stuff. So like, yeah, no, that I understand that completely.
It's a good little gateway.
I had to find people who would talk about ScienceDirect with me. I just had to do it, and I finally found people, and I'm like, oh my god, finally, good fuck.
Oh my gosh. Well then, do we have any final thoughts? I guess those were kind of the final thoughts.
I like acting.
Cosplay.
I like being character, and I'll do it all the time.
Oh my god. I like how extensive we get, and then our final thoughts is acting good, cosplay good.
Acting good, cosplay good, ScienceDirect's good.
Watch Steve.
Wally good. Steve.
Both this Steve of
I
Blue's
was gonna
Clues
say
and
both
also Amy Steve.
Also, if you're listening to this, the Blue's Clues project that I've been working on for a year will be out or be around out at this point, like nearly out, because I'm trying to get it out within a week. So be mindful of that, because that's my character Steve being Steve from Blue's Clues.
Yeah,
So
I've
some of the
seen
self-promotion,
It's
that's
amazing.
coming. Finally, TechRill has seen it, and I'm very happy about it because it's a surprise for him. So it's a really cool thing.
It made me cry many times.
Yay!
It also like threw my socks off and into another dimension at certain moments, which I won't spoil here.
Good.
But yeah.
Good.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway,
That's about it.
go check that out on my page and Side-ology, man.
Side-ology. Oh my god.
Happy Halloween!
Happy spooks. My god. Have a good Halloween. Eat all the candy. Don't
I love
die.
you all. Don't get stomach aches. Don't get sugar crash.
No,
don't
do that. It's part of it.
No.
It's part
but-
of it.
Oh.
You're supposed to eat candy until you regret it the next day.
No.
Yes.
No.
Happy Halloween.
Bye.
Bye guys. Love you.
Love you. Meh.